Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
I am second. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again with Salt Strong Unchurched. So pumped to be with you here today. I want to kick this thing off by thanking you. I want to thank you for, one, tuning in, and number two, for emailing me. I always leave my email at the very end of every episode. And the one I did here recently about my son Jackson and almost losing him in the hospital and the prayers that went into that, and the big question that he stunned me with, that was the title of the episode. I received so many messages. It's crazy, just from our listener base, right, of thousands of people, how many people went through something similar or even lost children. And oh man, I was just like tearing up reading some of these messages, and it was not just like one or two, it was a ton of them. So thank you guys so much. Got some prayer requests out of it too. And I know there's people going through, about to have their first child and just nervous and anxious. And I'm sure my story might not have helped, but you got to know that God is with you, and there is a plan and there is a reason. And so do not let anxiety take over your life. It is, as I've talked about many times, I did that. And I know for about 14 years of pretty much daily anxiety attacks. It's not a fun way to go through life, and it doesn't have to be that way. And there are ways to overcome it. And if you need help with that, just go to YouTube and Google Salt Strong Anxiety. You'll see, I just saw that video. No wonder I'm getting an email a day about it. It's got like 500,000 views now. It is wild how God has used that one video of where I just kind of poured out everything that I went through and how I was over to overcome a lot of it. Just really, really cool how God used that. And that was a video, if you recall, that I deleted the first time. I was just ashamed for it to even be out on the web. And I felt God just tell me to put it out there. So if you have a similar story that could potentially help someone, even if you feel a little bit embarrassed, put it out there. You never know what magic might come from it. So let's get into today's episode. I am second. Have you ever seen these videos? It's really kind of a movement that started, I believe it started on YouTube. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but that was where I first saw it. Usually there's like a little white couch and someone, sometimes a celebrity, sometimes a B-list celebrity or C-list celebrity, or sometimes someone who came from jail, or came from, like one guy came from the porn industry and how he got his life saved. And the I am second is basically saying that I am second to putting Jesus first, putting other people first, that it's not just about me. Sadly, our entire society, it's really about me. We're kind of wired selfishly, and right, no one wants to be number two, right? What happens when you go to any sports game, right? Regardless if the team is in first place or last, everyone still's got their number one finger up. No one ever puts number two up, right? Even while you're losing, everyone's still like, next year we'll be number one, right? It's what we all strive to be. We all want to be number one. Just like when your kids are competing, or if you're competing in something, no one wants to be number two, but we know that not everyone can be number one, but it's just how we're driven. Every company wants to be number one. I want Salt Strong to be number one. I think just deep down, we're all kind of wired selfishly. And so kind of an interesting story of just how God works and puts the right messages in front of your face at the right time. So last Sunday, we'd done a little camping, and Jackson came down with something, ended up being strep throat. And so we were going to skip out on church. But I woke up that Sunday, and I don't know, just for whatever reason, I had every intention of just sleeping in and not going to church, because we'd already agreed we're not going to church. And I don't know, for some reason, I just felt God saying, you need to go to church. So I told Lauren, I was like, I'm going to go by myself. And then Lauren had to go pick up Savannah, who was spending the night with a friend. And so it kind of gave me the first excuse. I was like, I'm going to be late to church. I probably just won't go. And it's weird going without my family. So I was like, not going to go. And then I just felt like God tugging at me. Have you ever felt that, where like it didn't sit well with me? So I'm right now at this point in time, I've told myself I'm now not going to church because my wife had to leave, and I've got a sick kid, and Shauna, who's I think is technically old enough to babysit at 12 years old just for a little bit, but I was like, I won't go, and so I wasn't going, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just get showered, and if Laura makes it back in time, I'll go. And she didn't. She took a little bit longer than I thought, and so I was like, I won't go. And so now I am showered. I'm ready. But it's like church is starting, and she's still not home. We only live 6 or 7 minutes away from it, but I was like, I just won't go. And I kept feeling this uneasiness, and so she finally pulls up, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. And she's like, well, it's going to be pretty late. I was like, I don't know. I need to go. So rush in my car, get over to there to church. I am like now 10 minutes late, and the parking lot is completely packed. I was like, is this Easter Sunday? So what the heck is going on? I've never seen like this ever. Like I'm talking, this is a pretty big church, and there is not a single parking spot, like as in zero, none. So what do you think I did? I was turning around to leave. I felt that same, like, Joe, you need to be here. So I went and literally just like parked on the grass, like on a grassy lot across from the parking lot. So there's literally not a parking spot left in this entire place. Like it was almost like the devil was trying to get me to turn around because he didn't want me to hear this message. So I parked, in the grass. I'm off the parking lot now at this point. Walk in, I'm sweating because I'm trying to run as fast as I can. And there's like not a seat left in this place either. And so I'm like, what the heck? Like everything in me was like, let me just turn around and go home. I'm not supposed to be here today. What the heck is going on? And so I finally found a seat like up the very, very, very top deck, like in the balcony. Like I'm talking where the AV guys or what are the people doing all the video and the sound are. So I'm up there like in a little, like a kid seat up there by myself, sitting there and already late. And then no lie. So this church starts with music. It's Haven Worship Center in Winter Haven, Florida, if you guys are curious. And the music, they do some music first and some worship. And so I'm sitting up there and just like, gosh, am I supposed to be here? And I'm up the very, very top by myself and without my family. And then all of a sudden, the pastor's not there, and the kind of assistant pastor, I'm gonna call the backup, right? And please do not take offense. I know we have a lot of pastors listen to this, and maybe even the pastors from this particular church listen to this sometimes. But I really like, the Pastor Jeff. I really love his messages. And, I think a lot of people are like that. You get attached to like the lead pastor, and sometimes when you find out it's someone else, regardless if it's a guest speaker or if it's the assistant pastor, you're kind of like, And so here I am after all that. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. The pastor's not even here today. And I was just like, all right. I was like, God, you wanted me here for some reason. I'm going to enjoy this, and I'm going to find some awesome purpose from this. And I did, by the way. So the message was on this, I am second. And this has been a multi-week message about I am second. And if you have watched any of those videos of seeing the people on the white couch, the Pastor Jeff did that himself and then with his wife and just talked about how their life changed when they took that I am second mentality of putting Jesus first above us and God first and your wife and kids and other people above us. And the assistant pastor told all the stories about looking back on his life that he had been second place in like everything, and even had ribbons like from when he was a kid that his mom, I guess, had saved, where he was second place in like all these different events. He never got first. And he's like, to me, it just feels natural. And he's like, and then he shifted over to, his real life. And he's like, but when I started putting my spouse first in our relationship, everything changed. And when I started putting kids first instead of just my wants and needs, everything changed. And when I started putting God and Jesus first, and above me and what I wanted, and what does God and Jesus want for me, even how I prayed, not just here's what I want, here's what I want. All right, God, I'm going to pray that your will is done, that everything that you want is done before I get what I want. And he's like, everything in my life changed. And he said this one quote. I rarely write stuff down in church. I'm usually just listening and not writing. But I took my phone out and wrote this down. I don't know, for whatever reason, it hit me hard, and maybe it'll hit you as well. But he said this: life isn't about what you can get, it's what you can give. And I just needed to hear that at that point. I think I'd been running a kind of a selfish mode. And so I'm going to repeat it. Life is not about what you can get, it's what you can give. Life isn't about what you can get, it's what you can give. Dan Kennedy has a quote. It says the hole that you give through is the same hole that you get through, meaning the bigger the hole that you're giving, and not just money, but just time and love and attention. And once again, putting yourself second above other people and serving other people first, that is the hole that you get through as well. And it hit me. And so long story short, it was a great sermon, great reminder of just even in my home life of putting myself second and helping others. So I got home, Lauren's there, sick kid. And right away, I didn't even ask her. I just started doing the dishes. I knew the dishes needed to be unloaded. And then there was a ton of stuff, plates piled up. And normally I would be like, oh my gosh, I hate this. Or I'd help the kids help me. And I just went right in and just started doing it. I'm like, hey, how can I help you, babe? And her face just like, whoa, what? New Joe kind of a deal. And but it was wild, just those two little things about me doing the dishes without being asked, and asking her how I could help that day with the kids. And it was a couple little small things like help brush Jackson's teeth and stuff. It was wild how that changed the dynamics of our relationship that day. Absolutely wild for that one little thing, right? Of just, instead of normally, I think at least me, maybe you guys are completely different, but I'm more of the selfish person. Like, all right, what am I going to do today? And I need to read. I need to do all these things. I got my own checklist of things I got to do. I got to go. And I did. I had some things I had to do. I had to, burn a bunch of limbs and stuff in a little burn box because we trimmed all the hedges that week. I mean, I had a lot of little things on my list. I had some stuff. I had some emails to reply to from Salt Strong. I had a lot of stuff I wanted to do. But when I put her first, put the kids first, it was absolutely wild how it has changed. And I've been trying to do this. I said trying, because I am certainly not perfect, far from it. I've been trying to do this even now with our employees. Just this past week, there's been a couple things that have come up in some personal lives. And normally I'm like, all right, just come on. I understand things happen, but I've really been trying to put myself in other people's shoes and putting them first. And obviously putting God, Jesus first, even in my prayer and prayer request of like, all right, God, I want your will to be done for me, not just here's all these little things that I want. And so I would encourage you to try it. And if you haven't seen the I Am Second, just go to YouTube and type I Am Second. Scroll down the list of their videos. One will certainly grab your attention. There's some fascinating messages in there. I think you will get a ton from it. And then start asking yourself in your own life, where do I need to put Jesus first? Where do I need to put spouse first, or kids first, or a coworker, or someone else that you might be dealing with? Even if there's some animosity there, some bitterness. Because I've had an instance like that here recently where I was just a little bit irritated with someone, and just really just started putting them first. And it's amazing. I mean, it's almost unbelievable how the relationship and the dynamic changes. Even if I don't have to tell that person what I'm doing, just in my mind, how I'm thinking about them and replying back to them, it is absolutely amazing. Just the magic and love that starts sprouting out of nowhere, out of, let's call it a barren desert of nothing. And it's amazing how just love can start sprouting when you put that other person first and genuinely put them first and genuinely love on them, and find ways to serve find ways to help versus what can I get out of this, right? I just love that. Life is not about what you can get. And even relationships, it's not about what you can get from someone. It's what you can give. And if we all just flip that around, right, and start thinking about giving first versus what do I get out of this? Right. I'm so guilty, right? And I get, especially when I get busy and a little bit stressed, and I get random phone calls where people say, hey, I need to chat with you. I'm like, all right, what do they want? And instead of like saying, how can I serve them? What could I give here versus, what's going to be in this conversation for me? And I'm just being completely honest. And maybe it's just how I'm personally wired. I don't know if you're like that or not, but especially when I'm just super busy and stressed and going 100 miles an hour, it's really, really tough for me to slow down. Especially if I think, oh man, this is just gonna take a ton of my time, and I'm just gonna give nothing and get nothing in return. I don't know. So that message was spot on for me. I hope it made sense for you. Life isn't about what you can get; it's about what you can give. Love you guys. Love to hear your feedback on this, or if there's things that you've struggled with or found things that help you with this whole I Am Second movement. Check out that YouTube channel, I Am Second. Really, really, really awesome stuff. Just amazing content. They've been doing it now for, you can believe it, 15 years. I remember seeing some of the celebrities that did that. They're on that white little couch, love seat chair, whatever you want to call it, and told their stories. It's some powerful stuff. So love you guys. My email is Joe, Joe @saltstrong.com, Joe@saltstrong.com. Love to hear from you, and I hope you have an amazing week. 'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. It was passed down to me from the days of old. Find us on the water if there was a way. It's been said my papa, he wrote the book on catching big reds and 20-pound snook. I wish I knew all the things he knew today. So